This is the iPhone 16 Pro, and these are more cases I've found that have the camera control button installed. First up, we're going to take a look at the Kadabi sheath, which tends to rank quite high in most top 10 case videos. The sheath comes in 4 different colors: eucalyptus, celestial blue, black, and gray, which I don't have. I'll show you the other 2 colors on the phone, but we're going to focus mostly on the eucalyptus, since it's my favorite. The inside of the case is lined with microfiber to keep the back of your phone scratch-free. Each of the corners has shock-absorbing air pockets to help with drop protection. Something cool about the eucalyptus case is that a portion of every sale gets donated to American Forests, which is a nonprofit dedicated to restoring critical forest ecosystems and increasing tree equity across North America. Here's a look at the inside of the camera control button for anybody that's wanting to see that. Now let's get the phone in the case. Here's a look at the sheath in eucalyptus on the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. Here's a quick look at the case from the front. Here's a look at the left side of the case, where you can see the aluminum buttons that are all color matched to the case. These are aluminum, floating, and super clicky. On the right side is your side button and your color matched camera control button. The camera control button works really well, which is always good to see. Sometimes it's not about being first, it's about doing everything right, which is what Kadabi has done in this case. Here's a look at the case from the bottom, where you can see your cutouts for your mic, charging port, and speaker grill. The cutout for the charging port is a good size that should fit pretty much any cable you'd run into. Here's a closer look at the back of the case. The sheath has this subtle texture, which adds nice grip when holding onto your phone. The sheath is also made from Shocklite, which is a proprietary shock-absorbing polymer that's drop tested to 15 feet. Taking a look at the front, this case gives you a pretty good amount of lip to keep your screen from rubbing against surfaces if you place your phone face down. And then looking at the back, you have good protection for your camera lenses. This case is MagSafe compatible and has really strong magnets. No issues with charging, and it's able to hold up this charging stand without any issues. So that's the Kadabi sheath in eucalyptus. Now let's take a quick look at those other colors that I have with me. Here's a look at the inside of the sheath in black, and then here's a look at the black sheath from the front. Here's a look from the back, from the left side, the right side with the color matched camera control button, and the bottom with cutouts for mic, charging port, and speaker. And then finally a look at the sheath in celestial blue. A look from the back with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural, a look at the left, a look at the right, and the bottom of the case with your cutouts. We're going to stay aboard the Kadabi train because they've also updated the Paragon. The Paragon comes in 3 different colors: Ruby, Moonstone, and Midnight. But we are definitely going to spend our time looking at the Ruby case. Inside of the case, you have microfiber lining to keep your phone scratch-free. Like the sheath, you have air pockets in the corners to help with drop protection. Here's a look at the camera control button from the inside for those people that want to see it. Now let's get the phone in the case. So here's a look at the Kadabi Paragon in Ruby, with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. The back of the Paragon has a pearlescent finish, which you'll notice with the shimmer when I shift it around under this bright light. The material on the back is scratch resistant and does have a smoother feel. Here's a look at the Paragon in Ruby from the front. Looking at the left side, you can see the metal buttons that are floating, clicky, and responsive. You'll also notice these grip patterns that show up on the other side of the case as well, and help you get a confident grip on your case when you're holding onto your phone. Here's a look at the right side with those grips like I just mentioned, the side button, and the color matched camera control button. Like on the sheath, the camera control button here works really well, which is always great to see. Now here's a look at the bottom where you can see the cutouts for your microphone, charging port, and speaker. Again, a very generous charging port cutout, which is going to fit pretty much any cable you'll run into. Looking at the lip of the case, it does have good protection for your screen. From some angles it might be tricky to see, but this case is raised on the top and the bottom, and a bit lower in the middle. Personally, I really like when cases do this because it makes swiping around on your screen extra comfortable. And then looking at the back, you do have good protection here for your camera lenses. This case is also MagSafe compatible and has no issues connecting to MagSafe accessories and charging wirelessly. And like you can see, has no issues holding up this wireless charging stand. So that's the Kadabi Paragon in Ruby. Now let's take a quick look at the other colors I have. This is the inside of the Kadabi Paragon in Moonstone. With the phone installed, this is a look from the front, and then here's a look at the back, which has a white pearlescent finish. The sides of this case have a gray color with a dark charcoal colored button. Here's a look at the right with your side button and your color matched camera control button. And then finally a look at the bottom with your cutouts. And then here's a look at the inside of the Paragon in Midnight. And then here's a look at the case from the back with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. Again, the back is a smoother feeling with a pearlescent finish, which has different characteristics depending on how the light is hitting it. Here's a look at the left side with the machined aluminum buttons, as well as the grip pattern. A look at the bottom with your cutouts for mic, charging port, and speaker, and a look at the right with your side button and your color matched camera control button. Now there is something that Kadabi started doing recently, and that's the option to swap out the buttons on the case. So you could do something like put a red button in your black Paragon case. There are 10 different color options for buttons that you can swap on both the Paragon and the sheath case that I've shown you. I'll link them down below so that you can check out all the different colors for yourself. Next is a case that's pretty unique because it's a thin aramid fiber case that has a camera control button on it. From Pitaka, this is the upgraded tactile woven case in sunset with what they call Beta Tap. This is the name they've given to an aramid fiber wrapped camera control button. Let's take a step back and look at the inside of the case, which you can see shows that it's MagSafe compatible. This is a thin aramid fiber case, so there's no air pockets or anything fancy like that. This type of case is offering you drop protection through the strength of aramid fiber. Here's a look at what the case looks like with your phone installed. And here's a look at the back with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. Taking a look at the left side, there's a cutout here, so you have access directly to your iPhone's buttons. On the right side, it is kind of similar, giving you access to your side button, but you do have this covered camera control button. And like you can see, this camera control button works really well. It might be a little tricky to see, but the case does have a little bump here where the camera control button is, purely so it can hold all those camera control button components. Speaking of which, here's a look at the camera control button from the inside. Here's a look at the bottom with cutouts for your microphone, charging port, and speaker grill. Something to point out here is that this edge can be a little sharp if you're someone who tends to rest your pinky directly on that part of your case. For screen protection, this case does offer a little bit with 4 raised corners. It's not a lot, but it is giving you some space when you put your phone face down on surfaces. And looking at the back definitely has decent protection for your camera lenses. This case is MagSafe compatible and does have some decently strong magnets, and has no issues charging wirelessly. This is the O-Stand Q3 Soft Tune case from Torres. If you're a fan of silicone cases, there aren't many options available, so this is a welcomed release. The Q3 Soft Tune case comes in 3 different colors: Obsidian Black, Desert Gold, and Baby Blue. This case is a reinforced polycarbonate frame wrapped in silicone. The inside of the case is lined with a soft microfiber to keep the back of your phone free from scratches and also help soften the impact from any drops that might happen. This microfiber isn't just one piece laying on the back inside, it actually wraps up into the edges of the case. Here's a look at the side button and the camera control button from the inside for anybody that's interested. On the inside, you'll also notice this ring imprint here, which showcases that the case is also MagSafe compatible. We'll test the MagSafe strength in a little bit. Here's a quick look at the case from the front. And then here's a look at the case from the back with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. This case is made from food grade silicone and is a good quality feeling case that has a good balance between being grippy and firm while still having a soft and comfortable feel in your hand. Like any silicone case, this will occasionally pick up a little bit of lint from your pocket, but it can easily be wiped off. If you're using a lighter colored case, this won't be as obvious. Also worth noting is that this case has a matte finish, which does really well to resist against fingerprints. On the back of this case is this 360-degree rotating stand, which you can pull out and rotate around to stand up your phone in either portrait or landscape. I've said it before, but having a feature like this is something I was originally kind of hesitant towards. Though once you've spent a bit of time having this as an easily accessible feature, it's really hard to go back to a case without it. I find it super handy for propping up my phone for video calls, or for being able to watch all different types of content. And when you're done using it, it's super easy just to fold back down. MagSafe strength on the Torres cases is really good. Having a strong MagSafe magnet on a stand means you can get pretty creative with the different ways that you're able to stick your phone to different surfaces. The buttons on the case are all floating, which means they're going to have the same click as the actual buttons on the phone itself. Here's a look at the camera control button, which is color matched to each different color of the case. As far as the actual function of the camera control button, it works really well, which is something I feel like Torres has gotten really well across all their different cases. The button is super responsive and responds to the velocity of your swipes. Now here's a look at the bottom of the case to see the cutouts for the microphone, charging port, and speaker. On the left, you also have a mounting point here for a lanyard. Here's a look at the lip protection offered by the case. I have a screen protector installed here, and you still have a bit of a lip here. It's nice that it's not too deep of a lip, which means that when you're swiping around and manipulating the phone, it's a pretty comfortable experience. And then here's a look at the camera lip, which is offering your lenses protection against drops and from rubbing against surfaces. Now let's spend a little moment looking at the other colors of the cases. Here's a look at the Obsidian Black case on the inside. Here's a look at the case from the front, the left side, the right side with the camera control button, the top, the bottom, and the case from the back with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. And then finally, a look at the Desert Gold case from the inside, with the phone installed from the front, the left side, the right side with the matching camera control button, the top, and the bottom. And then finally, a look from the back with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural. Next up is a leather case from a brand called Uvo. This case is available in brown, black, and blue. This is real leather, so it will patina over time, which means that this brown will get a little bit darker. Here's a look at the inside of the case, which is lined with microfiber to keep the back of your phone scratch-free. And then here's a look at the inside of the camera control button. Here's a look at the case with the iPhone 16 Pro in natural installed. Here's a quick look at the case from the front. Looking at the left, you have subtle branding and then metal buttons, which are all clicky and very responsive. On the right, you have your side button, which is also clicky and responsive, as well as a camera control button. Testing out the camera control button, it does work pretty good. I have found that there are a couple times where it's not detecting every single swipe that I input. This camera control button does feel like it's a little deeper inset, so you might just have to be more intentional with swiping straight up and down. Here's a look at the bottom of the case with cutouts for your microphone, charging port, and speaker. Looking at the front of the case, there is a good lip here for protecting your screen if your phone is placed face down. And then looking at the back, there is good protection here for the glass on your cameras. This case is also MagSafe compatible, has no issues with wireless charging, and has decently strong magnets. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at all these new cases with a camera control button. If you'd like to pick any of them up, I'll have links in the description along with any discount codes that I can get my hands on. As always, I appreciate your spending your time with me. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you again.